What's up? I'm kind of breaking this up. I'm on my way to doing another review where I'm going to compare what's good with five best things about 5th edition so far, five worst things, and it might not be five. I'm just saying five because that's kind of where it's headed. It might be a little bit more, probably more than less, but maybe closer to five really things that I'll go in depth about. But before I get to that, and I'm really close to where I'm going to have a studio up where I'll be able to do this. You know, you'll see my ugly grill and whatnot. Um, so you'll see me. It'll probably be a little bit more enticing, interesting. But sometimes there's just certain topics that you just want to get off your chest. And I'm going to talk about a little topics that are kind of imposing themselves when I do my reviews. And the first one is Vancian casting. One, the worst thing. I'm going to go ahead and give you number one. The worst thing about 5th edition so far are the classes. The wizard probably isn't the worst class. I think that's probably the cleric, but the classes, ugh. I mean, I kind of have a high standard with classes because by now, if you really want to talk top Pathfinder, to me there's a simple method: make really good classes. Pathfinder's classes are almost like a giant intelligent compromise. So it's kind of hard to top if you're a populace. But if you want to really get to the nitty gritty and just blow people out, you've got to really create classes that have a lot of pages in the player's handbook. And one of the reasons is, I'll just give an example for wizard before I go to the other ones in the second audio video, whatever you want to call it. The wizard, and this is about Vancian casting. Right now, the wizard is sort of a mixture of Vancian casting and stuff that we're going to sprinkle on top of it because nobody really likes Vancian casting. I'm going to come out and just lay it down like this. Whenever, and I've studied kind of public opinion on this. It's like almost any other thing in D&D. People that are new to the game, they accept it because it's D&D. They really don't care that much. So it's not critical. However, if you want to get down, if you want to really have something that's, at least for now, you know, when you release better than Pathfinder, and people run to that, and then Pathfinder has to be Pepsi or Coke, and come on, well, I always give that stupid example. Coke is way more popular than Pepsi. But if you want this kind of back and forth Rigondeaux, Donaire type thing, and yeah, Rigondeaux, if you're a boxing fan, pretty much ace Donaire. But all throughout that fight, you're thinking Rigondeaux can get knocked out at any time, and he got flattened, got up, and continued to outbox him. But that's for boxing fans only, I guess. But if you want to really get to that point where you're back and forth with Pathfinder, because I mean D&D probably should, as a whole, the brain trust in Wizards of the Coast should kind of have enough humility to realize that they're just not going to come out and just say, "Hey, we're D&D, get us screw Pathfinder." Well, actually, they probably are just because of name value, but there's kind of a standard that you have that's above name value. Say what you want to say about 4th edition. It economically did okay. I don't think it really tarnished D&D's name that much outside of the people like me. I'll bash one key aspect on 4th edition, but really when I go through the next review on 5th ed, there won't be a lot about 4th edition. There'll be one thing that I'm going to talk about, but hopefully I'll if you even care about that, I'll hurry up and do it. But right now I'm getting this thing off of Vancian casting off my chest, where I want to say that if you want to really be up there with Pathfinder, you have to have multiple types of casting. One of the problems with the wizard is it's kind of like Vancian Light. It walks out like basically memorize spells, but you have a gun, a cantrip gun that you can use with an intelligence modifier. As if the wizard isn't already single attribute driven enough, you have like this non-stop cantrip gun, and you can cast. I for every 6 seconds, I think it comes out to like 5,000, 20,000, or whatever. I forget the math. Ray of Frost spells. So And having done the research, and I know I'm kind of going around in circles, and it's crap research, but it really is. It's that hardcore gaming that if you really look at enough, forums here and there, and you're not really going through the more Eastern JRPG type stuff, you're in more like in-world RPG Codex, maybe BioWare. When people poll or talk about what is their favorite type of Vancian casting, I always use this basketball analogy. It's like the Lakers. Most people don't like Vancian casting, just like most people don't like the Lakers. However, when you compare it to in a big poll with other types, it's usually number one or number two. So it would behoove Wizards of the Coast to come out with a Vancian casting tradition that is pure Vancian casting. Don't just give Wizards this cantrip gun. Give them one spell, maybe a couple 0-level spells, 3 0-level spells, but one spell per day. Or maybe since it's first level, it's a quick memorization, like maybe 4 hours, and the fifth is 5, whatever. Maybe even 3 hours. But one spell, give them one spell. Screw this. I can't stand what they're doing with rituals. We'll get to that. That'll be in the next video. That's definitely one of the bad things with rituals. It's really just a waste of text right now. But create a Vancian casting tradition. That because this wizard only has one spell a day, they're decent in other areas. Maybe they can take some feats and stealth or whatever. They can juice up their extra. I forgot the word for it, like extrapontaneous, on the fly casting, where they eventually can develop something that's like the cantrip gun, the gauntlet, magic ball that would look so corny in a movie. Or they develop martial skills, and they kind of accentuate their low levelness 1 through 5th level before they have a decent amount of memorized spells. And that build is just as balanced. You don't need perfect balance, especially a low level arcane caster. Probably if you're going to have any type of tradition, they're probably going to be a little weak, but not so weak to where it's like they cast one spell and then they have absolutely jack to do. And to make up for that, you have to give them a gun, like a frost gun. How about if you give them a weapon? I personally like the crossbow, because to me it's like anybody can pull back. If you got like 6 strength, you can pull back, you can lock a crossbow. It's a very accurate weapon. I fired one. The sling, maybe if you're broke, you can't afford a crossbow, or maybe you come from like some tribe where they can sling rocks like nobody's business. Or the bow if you're an elf, I guess, or if you're like from an archer family. Darts, all things being equal, if you don't really have much of a background, darts has that extra attack going for it, and that's something I'll talk about because I'm working on a system myself, and I'm bringing back attacks based on what weapon you're using to a point. It's got some rhyme and reason to it. Rate of fire from AD&D. Well, second edition. I don't think it was in first edition. I don't know first edition that well. But that's really my point. Is get to the nitty gritty. Release the game with at least 4 traditions. A hardcore Vancian tradition being one of them, and that Vancian tradition only has one major spell a day, but you're not running every class off the board to make them powerful, which was one of the problems I have so far with 5th edition. The classes are just flat out overpowered stat wise, so that forces you to bake up the monsters, and you blow up these numbers to the point where little accentuations here and there or developments here and there don't mean as much, which gives the classes less diversity and makes them feel more like they're the same class.